No! No! No!
What up, Ghost? It is your host, Pop Ghost with the most, here to raise a toast to amazing cinema. Today we are getting into just the good, the goody good goods. I am Pops Ghostly. This is the Horror Pop Extravaganza, where the macabre meets the mindful. And with me, as always, my host brother in the macabre and the mindful,
Lil Duke Spooky!
Lil Duke Spook, Lil Duke Spook, Lil Duke Spooky, yeah, Lil Duke Spooky. We got a good one on deck today.
Oh boy, yeah, we do.
We have a great one on deck today. I feel across the board. I feel like the pause for the living showed up in my real life. I feel like that's always good. I like it when it's just like, yeah, this is a real world example of some of this shit. So that's going to be good, but we have a lot of movie to talk about, even though we talked for a long time about the reef. That was it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we just both got super excited about sharks and started talking about all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, you enjoyed that episode and you are returning to us. If this is your first time, welcome here to the Horror Pop Extravaganza. So today we just need to get right into it so that we don't go too long. We're talking about Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Been on a lot of people's lips, minds, conversation pieces. This is a dude that I've liked for a while. Somebody, I don't remember when it was, like long time ago, was like, watch this movie, Fruitvale Station. And I think it was the first time I ever saw Michael B. Jordan. And after I watched the movie, I was like, who is this director? Because this guy's telling stories that punch you so hard in the face. Like it's tough. And then he would go on to do, the Wakanda stuff, prove that he could do action at the same time while bringing some heart in. And then this thing comes out, and he's like, "I'm going to do a blues vampire movie," and that's two things to me. I'm just like, perfect. Yeah, I'm already so I'm already. It didn't matter who was in it, anything else. As a avid music lover, my entire life, the Delta blues is one of my favorite eras of music. It's a very tragic era of American history if you go back and really look at it. But the music that came out, the honesty in the music that came out was just, these guys were, unreal. Sunhouse, and even in this, the preacher boy, the guitar player, he Coogler had said, was inspired by Robert Johnson, which is to me one of the coolest stories ever. Like a dude that fucking, hey God, teach me how to play the guitar. No, hey devil, teach me how to play the guitar. I'll meet you at the crossroads. Sell me your soul. I'm like, that's cool lore, man. So to bring some of that in as well. And I'm a sucker for Michael B. Jordan. If his name's on the title or if it's on the bill or anything like that, I'll watch it. I don't care what it is. He's one of those actors for me that I can just enjoy. And I think he showed up over and over again. It was probably Fruitvale first, and then really in Creed, I think, is where I was like, yo, this dude's got some chops, and started exploring a little bit more. And then he saw him start popping up. And what was the excuse me, the one where he was the lawyer down south? That one was really I really like that one too. But either way, Michael B. Jordan, awesome. So you've got Delta blues music, you've got vampires, and you've got Michael B. Jordan along with a huge other rest of the cast. Everybody really shows the fuck up. And they kick this thing out soon. I went and saw it at the theater, talked to you about it right away. I'm excited to talk about this at some point. And the soundtrack I got right after I saw the movie. I put it on my Apple Music. I hope to get it on vinyl at some point if I see it floating around somewhere to have a physical copy to listen to that way. But I left the movie theater after seeing it and was just fucking blown away. Like, I'm not going to try and hide my excitement about this movie because I'm excited all the way through the thing. I would argue probably one of the best movies I've seen in like the last 5 years is, just as a whole, and we'll get into all of those reasons why, but as a whole, it's just fucking I don't know, for me, just stands like it was refreshing. It was like I was so thirsty for cinema, and this shit showed up, was like, I'm some ice cold H2O. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks for reminding me what it feels like to enjoy a movie and shit like that. But why don't you give us the IMDb and who's in this thing, who do they play, and what does the Internet Movie Database think this Sinners, Ryan Coogler's Sinners is about?
Absolutely. Sinners from 2025, rated R, coming in at 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Hmm.
Take that, horror movies.
Yeah, Terrifier 2 coming in at 3 hours. But yeah,
All right. Top of the cast, of course, Michael B. Jordan playing Smokey.
Smokey and Staggy. He,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's so leading into this, I didn't realize he was playing twins. I knew nothing about it. That he, but I mean, by the time I saw it, I knew. But the
Right.
first couple of trailers, I just kind of was, I avoid that shit some now. I like to be surprised by movies. But then I learned like he's doing both, and that got me super excited. Well, at the same, like cautiously optimistic, because playing that double role is fucking hard, dude. If you got to act with yourself, playing two different identities, two different representations, while also being twin brothers, and he did. If he doesn't get a fucking Oscar nod for this, I'm gonna be really, really surprised. I mean, I don't really like the Oscars anyway, but you know what I mean? Like, this was fucking
Totally.
good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I felt the same way. I was like, he is bringing it, dude. And then for Ryan Coogler, he didn't just like do it where they're like obviously like split screen and they're talking to each other. I mean, they're literally like overlapping each other in shots. They're
Fighting.
standing behind each other, yeah, fighting with each other, and it's just seamless, dude. You cannot tell. So much so that my wife, who's not as much of a movie file as you and I are, it took her most of the movie arguing with me that that was Michael B. Jordan playing both parts. She's like, that's a different guy. It just looks like him. And I was like, you are crazy.
And I'm telling you, man, after about 10 minutes in the theater, even I was believing that. And I wholly know, like, his performance was so good on both sides of that. This isn't fucking Double Impact with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
This is like and emotional performances to carry two different love interest type relationships, to carry two different personalities, and to do this, he just flawlessly executes from moment fucking one all the way through to the final title
Well,
card.
and spoiler alert, he kind of plays three characters.
A little bit.
So we got Miles Canton playing Sammy Moore.
This kid kills it, dude. Preacher
Dude,
boy. Oh,
good.
we'll get there. Go ahead.
We got Saul Williams playing Jebediah. Andrea Wardham playing Ruthie. Jack O'Connell as Remrick. Dude, this guy was fucking
Yeah.
cool, dude. Uh, Tanya Jackson played Beatrice.
Okay.
And let's see,
Where's
our
my Delroy?
yeah, they put him way down the list, dude. But we
Why,
got
dude? Yeah,
Delroy coming back, dude, is Delta Slim.
Delta Slim. That was
Dude,
it.
it
What's his
felt like
name?
seeing like
Delroy what?
Delroy Lindo.
Lindo. There we go. I fucking ever since I was a little kid in this
Me
guy
too, dude. He would pop up in everything in the
and
90s.
just chew scenery like you just wanted to listen to whatever this motherfucker had to say. And yeah, I love seeing him show up as this Delta Slim, again, reminiscent of an old, and we do get Buddy Guy shows up in this thing, like a legit blues legend
Right.
shows up to play one of the preacher boy at the end. But yeah, it's man, fucking yeah, Delroy
It was
Lindo.
like seeing a old cool uncle that I haven't seen in like a couple years because he
Right.
hasn't been
It's
doing
like,
anything lately. And I
right.
was just like, fuck yeah, dude, Delroy.
And who's the big dude that played Cornbread? Because I really liked him too. I thought his performance was fucking solid.
He was really good too. And I feel like I saw him in like a Wakanda somewhere.
He might have been, but maybe not.
Showing the fuck up as always. Haley Steinfeld, dude. She's so good.
Killer, dude. She is a killer. Like
When she
whatever
came out
she
in True
does,
Grit, dude.
so fire. I remember
So
watching
fun.
that, and I don't think I had seen the John Wayne thing. And I went back and watched it after. I was like, dude, she was better. I was like,
Yeah, no.
the
So
girl with John Wayne was awesome. Like she did a good job, but True Grit and with Jeff Bridges, fuck Matt Damon, like just yeah, that True Grit remake was. Phew, fire.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And she's just been good in everything. Even her Marvel stuff, I
Yeah.
thought was like superior to a lot of the Marvel stuff that I've
She's
seen.
a great talent, man, and that's what great talents do. They show up and practice their craft that they probably worked their ass off, trying to accomplish and trying to get to.
Absolutely. And then she has a singing career on top of that. Like
I didn't
crazy.
know that. Oh, yeah, she does. I've seen her name pop up on Apple Music, but I've never really, explored her singing, but maybe I will.
Yeah, it feels like a Mandy Moore situation to me, but
Possibly, possibly, but who knows?
and then Omar Benson Miller, dude, plays Cornbread.
Yes. And I love this guy, is somebody I've seen in a lot of stuff too. Always shows up at this, he's a big presence. He's a big human being, but plays this awesome comedic relief in a lot of ways. He's like a big teddy bear. Like you just want to hug
Totally.
this motherfucker if you saw him. Like, yeah, dude.
I kind of want to see him as Leatherface though. How
Oh,
about Ryan Coogler directs a Texas Chainsaw?
I am so in for that, man. I am so in for that. But you're right. He's built just like a big ass Leatherface.
Yeah.
And he's in the overalls the whole time, so that kind of lends to the look. But okay, continue.
All right, you want to hear what IMDb thinks this movie's about?
Yes.
Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, two brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back.
Bum, bum, bum.
Um,
I'd say that's okay, but we've given up on IMDb as a reliable source of synopsis. We open up in the South. It's hot, and this movie feels hot.
feel it hot, dude.
You can
Yeah,
feel the
sweaty.
heat, the sounds, like the sound design's really good. The all the critters that are out in the fields and shit. And we get a little bit of an exposition quickly about this idea of every once in a generation or something, somebody shows up who is the proper vessel to channel true universal musical energy and connect with their people in a way that is, indescribable. You can't, it just takes you over. Like your body just starts, and there are these people who have this ability. And soon we meet a preacher boy. He's there with his dad, and he's, the son of a Southern preacher sitting there in the church. It's hot. Everybody's got their fans going, and he's talking about why don't you lead, the kids and stuff like that. But we see this separation between the father and the son, and the dad really wants him to take on this preacher role, and he's like, I got music in me, man. Like there's no other. And after you see the whole thing, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie because there's no way to really talk about it without. But I think for him to like that was his calling, like that music thing. For him to deny that would have been denying, the natural self, like his natural state of being is with a guitar in his hand. And if you stay through all the way through the credits, you see him get to play a little bit, and that's just dope too at the end of the movie. Um, but he is getting ready. There's going to be something. It's Saturday night, and we saw him up early too. Like Preacher Boy's working, getting his brothers and sisters up out there working in the field. Already filled my whole quota for the day before anybody else is even awake and shit like that. This guy's hungry for life, and he tells his dad, like, I give 6 days of the week to the Lord. Let me have this one day. I want to go play. I want to play my guitar. I want to play in a juke. And the idea of the juke joint is cool too. Just a small spot where music happened. It wasn't usually a lot of white people at all, and it's where this kind of black roots Delta blues music started to like come. And the sad thing is that these dudes are some of the most talented musicians. Like I've listened to a lot of music in my life. I never stop exploring music. I feel like it does connect us in a really cool way. I've yet to find some guitar players who are doing the stuff that these guys were doing with no fucking YouTube videos, no how to play guitar for dummies or anything like that. But it was an expression of horrible suffering, and that sucks that the people were going through that. But this music, when Son House can just clap his hands, don't around people grinning around in your face, like a whole song, just clapping your hands, not even staying on time most of the time, but there is a truth in it that is just undeniable. And I see that in this kid, and he's supposed to be this Robert Johnson type character. Like, I just need to play this music. I need to play the blues. And not long, we see Smoke and Stack show up. So this is Michael B. Jordan. I think we do see them a little bit. And again, like you said, he's not just putting them clearly, separated. They're rolling cigarettes and handing them to each other and lighting them and shit. And
Yeah.
that's, yeah, it's like, hey, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's do it the right way. And he really did. Like I said, in the editing team on this, whoever you are out there, holy shit, you guys, you killed it. I mean, you
Yeah.
absolutely killed it. So they pick him up and like, oh, hey, Uncle so and so. So they're cousins, the Smokestack twins who had left after. I don't know if it was just Smoke that went to war because he had gone to World War One. One of them had been in World War One, and or
I think
maybe
they
both.
both went.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
they
think
both
you're
went.
right. I think they both went. But Smoke, between the two, Smoke appears to be the one battered by the war. He's hard, and we learn why pretty quickly, and it's fucking sad. Whereas Stack is very smiley, like, hey man, let's pump the brakes a little bit. They balance each other perfectly. They balance each other. And so they come and pick up the preacher boy, their cousin, and then they go to drop Smoke off at the booze. They had hidden some trucks and they got all this booze and they grabbed some cases. You guys go do this, you go do that. We're gonna get the juke up and running tonight. And we saw them buy an old factory and there was blood on the floor and shit. And this old fucking boss hog looking characters like, oh yeah, fucking that's just spilled wine, nothing on the floor. Oh, the plan's dead. Oh, doing his thing, fat sloppy, and they're gonna get this shit up and running tonight. So they got the booze that's hidden, which we learned they fucking stole from Chicago and pitted two mobs against each other later on. And I'm like, that's great, dude. And it was Mary though that points it out. She's like, you got Irish whiskey and you got this booze. Yeah, I see what you're doing here. But they've got the booze, they've got the spot. Now they got to get the music and stuff. And this scene right here, when Stack and Preacher Boy are riding together in the car, and they're sharing really intimate stories. And I think I heard Ryan Coogler read it somewhere, but some of this stuff was somebody in his family was sharing stories with him, and some of this stuff is directly pulled from his, not direct, I would say, but like a great uncle, maybe something like that. I don't know how old Ryan Coogler is, but he's like, why don't you show me what you can do on that guitar? And this in that movie theater, dude, I'm still fucking goosebumps right now. Was just covered in them. When you hear that hollow body just sliding, traveling, and it was Michael B. Jordan's response when he looks at
Yeah.
him, he's influenced by this universal force. His face gets all big, like, we gotta make some money. Woo! And he's screaming. Now we got to get some more of the gang together. So they go get Cornbread, and Cornbread is fucking awesome. He's fantastic. He's out in the field picking cotton with his old lady, and I love the way that Stack comes out talking to him. He's like, Cornbread, fuck, put that down. I got to talk to you or some shit. And he's like, oh, I got to talk to her. This man talk. He says something about that's my wife you're talking about. She's like, she might even let you put her pecker in your mouth and you talk about the money I'm talking about over here. And he's like, I'm gonna beat the fucking black off of you. Comes running after him, and she's like, hold up, wait. And he's like, that's a woman right there. Stack is so charming. He is so fucking lovable and charming. Like, it would be impossible to be mad at this dude. Smoke, on the other hand, is in town hooking up with the people who knew him before. And I love he gets this little girl to watch the truck full of booze, and he's like, you heard the Smokestack twins? And she's like, and he's like, I'm Smoke. And she's like, oh shit. And so he's like, you sit in the car, hit on the horn, goes and talks to his friends who run the grocery store. There's a man, a woman, and a daughter that all run this grocery store who know them. It seems like they're very close. He goes in like, I need a sign, I need this. And then he hears the beep beep on the car horn, and she's hitting the horn, and he goes out there, and this dude's in the back of the fucking truck trying to get his booze. And he's like, I didn't know. Nobody told me. Nobody told me. And she's like, I told you exactly who it was. So he already shot him, and he's like, fuck, Smoke, and but still respect. Like, these two dudes have all the respect in the world. Whatever they did leading up to this, and then going to war, coming back, they have all the respect in the world. And his homie's trying to run away, and he fucking shoots him too. And he's like, "What you fucking shoot me for?" He's like, "Well, I can't have somebody thinking you tried to steal my booze and didn't leave without a limp." And I was, but then goes right back into the store and, asks the couple, like, hey, he needs stitched up. Here's some money. Make sure these two guys get taken care of. So he does have a heart, but it's buried so far beneath this crazy shell, this outer defensive shell that he's got. And we do learn he goes out to the woods and we're introduced to his I guess former love interest. But before we even get there, we see Hart's real or Smoke's only real vulnerable heart, and he goes out there and there's a little tiny gravestone and he puts some flowers on it, cleans it off, and he's like, Papa's here, Daddy's here, don't worry. And I'm like, fuck, man. Um Goes in to talk to her, and we learn that they have had a history. They have a relationship that has gone on. Seems very strong. They end up having sex again right in the building. She's like, your body still remembers me. She's just fucking grabbing on his junk. But it was their baby, is what we learned, because she's like, how do you know I didn't pray? She does kind of, I guess, Haitian type magic, voodoo, hexy type. I don't know what else to call it. I apologize if I'm offending everybody or everybody, everybody all at once. But a lot of, different herbs, spices, potions, and that. And he had been wearing one the whole time he's gone. And she says something, how do you know I didn't pray for you every day and that thing didn't keep you alive? And he's like, well, how come that magic didn't work on our baby? And it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
So he wants her to come, I think, cook catfish and help out. He is happy to see her. You can see it, but he's still just, that pain from losing a child is too much. Like, and he's still trying to take that anger out on the world. He's pointing it in the directions that deserve it. That's the one thing I'll say about both of them. It doesn't seem like anybody really gets anything that wasn't a consequence of their own actions. A
Right.
consequence of their own action. So now we go to the train station, and that's where we meet Mary and Delta Slim. Delta Slim's out there playing the blues on the harmonica for, an open hat or an open jug or something like that. Got a little bit of corn whiskey here or something. And they come up and they're like, hey, we want you to come play for us. And Delroy Lindo, dude, he's just like, I mean, he could just fucking read me the phone book and I'll be like, yeah, dude, that's all right. Yeah, that was a
Right.
great, you said nine, man. Like, just charismatic, all the charisma.
Well, and here's the thing too. Anybody who questions the runtime on this thing, this scene with Delroy would have been on the cutting room floor had it been a shorter movie. This would have been the first thing that you had to cut, and you would have hated to lose it as a director. But the studio probably is going to come in and say, "Cut this scene. It's too long. It doesn't add to the movie." But it so adds to the movie,
It
and
makes
it makes the
everything.
character so important. But
It
he's a side character, and
And
so he
it
wouldn't
sets
have
the
got another.
tone, though. It sets the tone of the Mississippi Delta, that the most talented musicians, and this shit still happens, like New York subways. I watched a thing one time. They had this woman play the most expensive guitar or violin on the planet and play the most complicated piece of music that anybody's ever written on violin. And people were just walking by, like dropping quarters, just carrying on about, like, yeah. And so, but he sets the tone of the era, and the idea that these incredible people and these incredible musicians weren't celebrated. They were just out there trying to get booze money for the most part. And
Yeah, that's all he really works for is to
right,
stay drunk.
right. Because he lives in a society, and after they get him in the car, and I like the way they get him in the car, he's like, you want some of this Irish beer? And he's like, oh, fuck him. He gets all excited, like, "Whew, what's he?" He's like, it's cold too, and I got like fuck 500 more of them. He's like, let's do the thing. So they get him and they get him in the car. He hears the kid play, him and the kid play at the train station a little bit. Super great. Like I said, the soundtrack, every fucking cut on this thing, really good stuff and intentional. All of the music is very intentional, which I think helps tell the story, at least what I took away from it, because I'm really trying to get away from not reading a lot of reviews on things, especially if it's something we're going to talk about. I don't want to go in and be like, oh, what did somebody else think? Like, nah, just kind of, figure it out as I go. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If there's something there, there's something there. But they load up into the car and he tells them this fucking tragic story about the real Mississippi Delta, about how, I had this group of friends, bunch of these white dudes pulled us in off the street, paid us good fucking money, gave us good booze and shit. And he tells about what happened to so and so. But the one guy, he's like, somebody blamed him for killing a man and raping a white woman. He's like, they fucking, the same people who were just celebrating and dancing with him lynched him and cut his fucking dick off and shoved it in his mouth and shit. And that's the real tragedy of fucking American history, dude. I mean, terrible things have happened all across this country. I'm glad we're not there anymore. It's good that we're not there anymore. We're that. I mean, some places it's still real bad, but I feel like we're getting better, moving in the fucking right direction, hopefully. But he tells them, this tragedy around the music, and we did get to see a little bit of Smoke's relationship with Mary, but we don't fully understand it. She shows up,
No,
smacks the shit out of him, and is like, "You fucking left me, you motherfucker." And we assume it's just maybe some one night stand or something that he had, knocked around with right before he went off to war.
right.
But we learn that they were raised by Mary's mom, the Smokestack twins, because their dad was a horrible person. Like, beat the fuck out of the one all the time, and the one would try and protect the other, like really terrible things. And that's where I think Smoke had to build his armor because of that abuse. It's like you're getting abuse in society, and then you're getting abuse at home. It's a fucking tragic situation, and nobody should really have to deal with life like that. I hope we can figure out to help more people who don't deal with life like that. But we learned that they were all raised together and that those two are truly in love. I mean, a deep fucking love. And he does express it later. Again, Michael B. Jordan just fucking killing it, dude. He's like, oh, you just don't want me to say that I think about you every single day and that the only reason I'm doing this is to keep you safe and shit. And you see this, Romeo and Juliet divided by fucking a society that won't let them be together. And it's fucking terrible. So we're now getting all of our pieces together. Cornbread's going to work for them at the door. We got the people from the restaurant painting the signs, doing all that, getting it ready. We got the booze that has been hidden in trucks all over the place. We've established some good tension between different individuals, different dynamics. And we don't even see a vampire until about an hour. I think I looked today when I was rewatching it, about an hour and 20 minutes in. So
Yeah.
you care about these people by the time vampires show up. I will say this is my only problem with this entire movie is I feel like the vampires were introduced weak as fuck. Like it was just kind of thrown in there. Like, hey, we need a representation. What I saw it is, the vampires represented a lot of white people appropriating black culture and taking
Right.
black music and taking these things, but the way the vampires just showed up, like this dude's just running through the desert and shows up on this door, starts banging like, help, help, they killed my wife, I got fucking gold. But he's
Right.
smoking. If anybody shows up smoking, you just put a bullet in them because you people
Right.
don't smoke.
Right.
It just doesn't.
I don't give a fuck how crazy they are.
Right. They did not fucking blow up. What were they, psychos or something? No, Carlos, they were not fucking psychos. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them, no matter how fucking crazy they are. Oh, that's a great. And then this movie got a lot of comparison to that movie. It
I my wife fucked
don't
it up for me because I was like, this is finally like an original movie. It's not based off anything. So awesome. She's like, well, it's kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. I was like, fuck you, no, it's not. But I mean, in structure only, it is, half
it,
of the movie is like building the characters, the other half is the vampires.
right. But from Dusk Till Dawn, it was more exploitation. It was a love letter to the 70s and that grindhouse era of let's just like fucking splatter vampires everywhere. Bass guitars were fucking made out of people. Whereas this, the vampires are used as a narrative tool, I think, to represent something else, and it's expressed that way. Even though we do get the violence, we do get some of the gore. It's not comical. There's nothing funny about it. Whereas with From Dusk Till Dawn, it's a fucking cool '60s like Switchblade Sisters or faster Pussycat Kill Kill road movie with just craziness going on and
Right.
then turns into an exploitation fucking. I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino, dude. That's what the guy loves, and we know that about him. So I separated those pretty quickly after somebody told me. They were like, oh, it's like From Dusk Till Dawn. I said, kind of, in that, I mean, that's like saying, fucking Terminator is like Wally because they both have robots. It's
Right, right.
yeah, different kind of a feel. Is there anything I'm missing major that happens before we get to the so we get the people. All right, let me finish that a little bit. We get the vampire shows up this homestead. He sees a clan costume in the corner and he kind of works his way. He's like, "Oh, these fucking people are chasing me down. They're going to kill me." And again, this just felt so weak. You got a whole gang in a car, horseback, rifles. They know they know what's in there. They're like, oh, we should put an end to this because he's probably going to come back for us. But they're just like, won't let us in. Okay, bye. We better get home before it's dark.
I want to see the prequel of the Navajo guys chasing this vampire down, dude. That's the story I want to see.
Yeah, but then what? They just give up, and I was like, you burn that house down if you know the undead is in there. This like undead ruler, you'd be like, I'm so sorry, man, but I'm gonna have to push your ass out of the way. Like that shotgun's not gonna stop me. So she, after they go, starts calling for her husband, Oscar, whoever it is, and goes into the bedroom. He's on the floor, bloody neck. Vampires in the chair, like, oh, don't worry about him. He'll be up in just a second. And we do see him stand up, and then he's like, oh, feel good. Da 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 da. This is so fucking great. Now we have a trio of vampires that walk around and sing folk music, kind of traditional American folk music. And I really, this song though, something about Robin, pick a Robin clean or pick a something clean. But again, it seemed very much like we're coming to strip you from everything that is yours and use it for our own. Like we're just gonna till there's nothing left. And reading about that historically, you hear the shit with Elvis and stuff like that. And then you look at bands like a lot of bands I like Led Zeppelin and all these guys, the Rolling Stones coming over and stealing the fucking blues, from these cats and stuff like that. So I found this message that kept reoccurring of like, yo, this is, you're stripping the culture away and you're also stripping the magic away. Like you're making it commercialized to where everybody likes the same exact thing, and he wants that's the vampire's goal here because he sees when we're in the juke joint. We get there and it runs for a while. We get to see people dancing, we get to see people doing their thing, we get to see Mary show up and Cornbread's like, yo, Whitey, I think you're in the wrong place. And she's like, oh, come on now, Cornbread. And he's like, little Mary, and this is that hug I want from him. He's just like, oh, come on in. Um, so we have security, we've got everybody's here, the food's going. Smoke's really worried about the till. He's like, we need American money, not these fucking, plantation coins or whatever they were. This other system of, which is also fucked up. It's like you get different money than you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything's going good, and we get one of my favorite sequences in this whole movie. And I will say, Ryan Coogler, fucking whoever was behind that camera, dude, like the camera operator. You remember the shot right at the beginning where they go from the one store into the other store, and then we turn around, follow her back out. He is doing some tracking shots that are so well hidden. If you're not even looking for it, you're like, that's masterful, man. That's like, Kill Bill and shit when you go above the thing and you're walking around all through the crazy 88s and all this stuff, where he's just weaving in and out of people and out of doors and above things. And it's just so beautifully painted. But
For
we,
me, it was the
oh,
scene
go
where,
ahead.
where they're all dancing and they're literally like putting in different eras of
That's what
dance
I was
as
just getting
the
to.
camera
Yeah.
is going through. And it's so seamless that you don't notice that people are there that don't belong in the shot.
Right. You
Wow.
do notice it here and there,
Do
but
notice, but yeah, you can't see it when it like they flow and then they flow out. You're like, I lost that person, but I'm already on another one. So
right.
he's pulling your eye around the shot like a magician, showing you a magic
and
trick.
and the music goes so beautifully with it because he starts playing this song about his dad and you hear the honesty in it, and he's like, you wanted me to be a preacher, and you told me the truth hurts, so I lied to you. And he starts hitting, but then the music like does this swell thing, and like you said, you see people moving slow. Then we've got these African drummers and like dancers doing their thing. Then this dude shows up like fucking Prince with an electric guitar, like, but the music is like whoever cut the music is just so seamlessly interwoven. We see representations from like old China and shit, but when they're playing poker, it's like everybody who would be influenced by this universal musical power is hitting it in their own way. And it's like, this is something that's passed down. You know what I mean? And you're right. It just weaves in and out. And then we get a view from the vampires looking at the juke joint, and the whole fucking place is on fire, burned to the ground, and people are just in there dancing and moving. And that's when the vampire's like, I need him, because I need that purity. I need that realness that can actually communicate on this bigger level, this bigger scale. And so they decide they're gonna go in there. But again, that scene, this was the third time I watched it. Because I watched it at the theater right when it came out. Digitally, I bought it and watched it again. And then I just watched it this morning before the show in the bathtub, which was fucking sweet. I just threw my iPad up, and like my MS bones and shit get sore. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here in the bath and watch Sinners. And I mean, it's got jets and shit, so it's pretty nice. But I'm sitting there watching it, and every time this scene comes on, I'm trying to find something else, and there is. It's going to take me probably 10 viewings over the course of my life before I see all the cool little shit happening in this scene. And then the fire, it's just a visual representation of what music can do to you like that. When you feel something in you that you can't control. You know, you look at toddlers, you put a rhythm on and they will just start fucking moving. It's almost like they can't help it. You know, it is so ingrained in us. And this was that. Preacher Boy Slim was the beacon. He was the truest. And these vampires like, all right, we got to go get that. So they come up to the door, and Cornbread's like, what the fuck? You know, we got banjo walking up over here and guitar over there and maybe washboard over there or fiddle or something. They say, hey, we just want to play some music. And Cornbread's like, go get the twins. Go get the twins right away. Oh, we just want to do this or that. And um, he's like, nah, this ain't the place for you. And they're like, oh, look, we got golden shit. And they're like, fuck, go down the road. Like, there's a white people place right down the street. You go down there and play your music. We just don't want it. And they even do a little tune for him. And you can see the people at the door kind of getting, you know, entranced a little bit. It's a siren song. It pulls you in some. So they kick them out. We have a conversation about the money, and that's when Mary's like, maybe I'll go see, you know, if they got money to spend, we can do it. And he's like, here, take my gun. Meanwhile, Preacher Boy goes down on the singing girl, which was a great lead up after Stack had told him how to go down on chicks. And he's like, what's that? He's like, you got to go right in there. He's like, not too fast, not too slow, not too something. And so he's in there with her, and she's like, "How you washed up?" Yeah. He's like, "I want to taste you," and she's like, "Oh shit!" Like Preacher Boy,
This
not
movie
only,
was super horny and sweaty and sexual. Like,
but very real though. It's like that. You know, that's how it is a lot of the time. It's not a pretty clean, you know, act, especially when it's intense like that. So he's doing that. They're outside. Mary goes out to try and get some coins, or at least talk to them to see what they want. And Mary's the first one to get bit. And she points the gun like, you need to get the fuck out of here, and starts working her way quick back towards the thing, but he's just way too fast. Descends on her, bang, bang. She comes back in, and we see it though. She comes up to the door and she's like, Cornbread, you gonna let me in? And he's like, what are you talking about? Come in. She's like, no, you gotta let me, da da da. And we see the trope of the vampire, you know, you gotta be invited in order to enter a facility. She goes in, starts kissing all over Stack, and takes him into the back room where they're gonna do it. Cornbread's off taking a piss while Delta Slim's watching the door, fucking laughing, drinking. He's having the best night of his life. And I want to say it's Preacher Boy. Smoke sends Preacher Boy to go find Stack. And he opens the door and he sees Mary on top of him, riding him and shit. Oh, yeah, because she's like, fucking, he's like, you're drooling. And she's like, you want some? He's like, yeah. And
yeah,
just,
that was crazy. But that was horny. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, all right.
Okay. He opens the door, sees it. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he goes back. He's like, "He's busy." He's like, "I told you go get that motherfucker. Like, if I tell you to go get him, like, Smokes seems like somebody who will just fucking smack the shit out of you for no good reason." Um, but I think this is also right around the time another chaos is happening when that guy up by the door is like, he tried to take my money or something, and he had cut somebody with a thing, and they just commence to like kick the shit out of this dude. The girls look through the window and they just close the window like normal business, and they're beating his ass. Smoke eventually gets in to see Stack, and Mary turns around, blood all over her face, and he's on the ground. And he just pulls out both pistols, dude, crossways, and just unloads into her. Bah, 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 bah. She's on the ground. People hear the shots, even though it's loud out there. Some people hear the shots. Oh shit, what's going on? Run in there. Mary gets back up and everybody's like, oh, fuck. And she goes to dive at someone, I think Smoke, and he pushes her out of the way. She takes off outside, like, we're going to kill all you motherfuckers, and goes off running off into the woods or into the darkness. Oh, shit. Shit just got real. They try to fix him up again. Michael B. Jordan is essentially holding no one. Maybe there's somebody there in a green screen, fucking suit, just so he has somebody to look at. But he's having to watch himself die and play both parts. Like, be a dying man looking at your twin brother who's trying to save you, who's super emotional and can't contain it, and then also be the big brother who's looking at just wild stuff. I can't remember how he gets out of there though. How Stack ended up outside with the rest of them. I think they locked him in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
locked
lock
him
him in
in.
and he's like, "Let me the fuck out of
He's
here."
banging on it. Yeah, and they're like, "Let me." Yeah. So Delroy, Delta Slim, gets the majority of the people out of the juke. He's like, "Hey, party's over, man. Fuck, shit's gone south. We got to get out of here. Y'all got to get out of here." So we see outside. They all start taking off. Cornbread, we saw, got attacked out in the woods, draining his lizard. We didn't see him get attacked, but we see like glowing eyes in the bushes, like a bunch of
Oh,
eyes
that
in
was
there.
creepy, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, very good effect. He comes back after we've rallied. For the most part, we have our store owners. Or no, because he went back to try and get the girl. He
And
ends up,
everybody, yeah, when everybody leaves, the mail store owner goes out to the car to get the car. And so he's outside and his wife is stuck inside.
right. And she doesn't know for a while if he's okay or not.
Right.
We don't get him. Cornbread shows back up first, and damn, I can't remember her name. Smoke's love interest, but she, with all the knowledge, she's like, "This is motherfucking vampires. Like, I don't know what
Right.
you know about nothing, but this shit is vampires, and we need to fucking adjust accordingly." And so they start thinking about, can we survive, till morning? A lot of the normal vampire. What do you do when there's fucking vampires? Get some holy water. She can bless water, some kind of water. Get some garlic. They even do a garlic test where they all have to eat it in order to kind of like the
Uh,
thing, only not
oh,
a
yeah, totally like the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So they've all got it. And Delroy, they think for a minute, is a vampire. He's like, "Whoa." And he's like, "Oh, I just fuck drank too much. Fuck, got bubble guts, bro. And you got me pounding pickled garlic." So we learned that I don't think anybody inside was a vampire, but we do get Cornbread comes up to the door and tries to get back in.
I really like that scene.
That was a great scene, dude. And they're like, Cornbread, you're fucking huge. Why don't you just push him out of the way? And he's like, well, that wouldn't be fuck polite. What are you guys talking about? But there is that slight edge to him that is different than the softness. And again, just all the talent in this thing showed up, dude. And I think Ryan Coogler probably created an environment that just brought the best,
Yeah.
out of everybody. This is probably fun. You read the script and was like, fuck yeah, man. Like, let's do this thing. And you're right, a great exchange happens. And there's another point where somebody comes up to the door, somebody who got left outside, and he's banging like, fucking Smoke, let me in, let me in. And he's a real person. They go to open the door, and right when they open it, Cornbread tackles him, boom. And then the shop owner shows back up, and he's talking to his wife. And he's like, come on, let's go get our kid. She's waiting for us. And he's like, she looks over and she's like, you don't see? He's eating him. And he's like, oh, it'll be so much better. And they have these eyes that kind of milky over, almost cataracts, and have a glow to them. And she's really distraught, like, fucking no, dude, this is my everything. You got to think at this time, these probably people came over from somewhere in Asia in the 30s. You were a hyper minority at the same time. And so that family was probably a big chunk of, everything. And she's so worried about her kid because when the vampire bites you, he gets all of your knowledge. And so he's like, "Oh yeah, your daughter's at home, right? So we're gonna go pay her a visit." And she's like, "Fuck now." They get back inside, trying to figure out what to do. We get a big dance sequence outside, like this kind of Irish folk, where he's got the whole gang, like Michael B. Jordan and Mary and everybody out there. And we see again, the culture has been completely stripped. The
Right.
identity has been completely stripped. It's all been taken away and now just molded into this, what this dude thinks it should be. And he's out there dancing. And it's not to say that there's not, traditional Irish music and traditional folk music that has its own, cultural relevance in places. But he takes and shows pretty much, okay, I've taken everything away from you, and I just want him in there, though. I think he even tells him, like, if you just give me Preacher Boy, I'll go away, and the rest of you can carry on. No, 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 fuck you. We get together a couple of weapons, and it is our store owner, our shop owner. She's the one who finally lets him in. Because I want to say Smoke saying something like, we'll figure something out. We'll get a fucking plan. And she's like, there ain't no fucking time for no fucking plans. Like, this is it. They're outside about to kill our families. We're in here. I ain't going down like this. She starts like, "Cut," and he puts his hand over her mouth, and then she bites the shit out of him, like, come in, motherfuckers. And he hears it from way out there, the vampire, and he's like, yeah. And they just storm this bitch, start throwing Molotovs. She got cocktails going everywhere, people getting all over the place, spiked everywhere, staked. Um, it's chaos in here. Again, shot really cool. It's fun. We get to see Smoke and Stack fight, vampire Stack versus human Smoke, and the emotion again, man. It's just like it's crazy. We see a lot of vampires die. We see a lot of people die. We see a lot of emotion. We see Smoke have to kill. Man, I wish I could remember her name. The bigger woman. She's so fucking good too. But he's got to stab her, and she's sitting there crying, or he's sitting there crying, and Stack and Mary both see him, and they are emotional about her dying. They're like, no, like you could have been one of us. Like, no, don't fucking kill her because she gets bit, and he fucking has to stake her. Like, I'm so fucking sorry. I love you so fucking much. And they're like, ah. So fight goes on for a while. We get a group that goes outside. Smoke and Stack are up on a causeway, kind of a walkway up top where he's been overseeing everything on the juke floor. And Smoke gets on top of him, and he's got the fucking steak. He's like, I'm sorry I couldn't take care of you. And he's like, what are you talking about? You always did. And it's just like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm over here like crying and shit almost, like watching these brothers have to go through this. I'm very close to my brothers as well. So I think I, can see myself in some of that, but we don't see him kill Stack, but we do see the head vampire. Smoke tells Preacher Boy, he's like, you jump out that fucking window, and he's like, run until dawn, dude. He's like, just run as fast as you can. And oh, that's right. Because at the very beginning of the movie, we see Preacher Boy walk into the church all bloody and stuff. And this is everything from one night before. It's everything from the previous night. He's like, you jump out that window and you run as fast as you can. And right as he's about to go, the head vampire gets him, throws him. They end up out in this swampy area under the moonlight, having this discussion about, I just need you, and you're going to be the last piece of the puzzle, and it's going to make everything perfect. And he fucking beams him right upside the head with his guitar. Boom, this old hollow body. And it was a silver plate that was in the thing. It hits him. I don't know that I needed to see all the vampires be like, my head. That
Right.
for me was a little bit much because I feel we already knew. Like he told us, like they feel everything, they get all the memories and whatnot. But he smacks him with the thing, and then Smoke comes out right before he's about to kill him. He's got like pick him up by the head or something like that, about to get Preacher Boy, and Smoke, I think, stabs him in the back and gets him with a stake. These two are the only two left alive or there. vampires gone, the all the juke joint people are gone or dead, and you got Smoke and you got Preacher Boy, and Smoke's like, yo, and he's like, put that fucking guitar down or don't ever pick it up again. He's like, just stop what you're doing. And he's like, what are you talking about? This was Charlie Patton's guitar. And oh, I did forget to mention that, but Charlie Patton, I mean, Godfather of the Delta Blues. You know, he's one of the, like, if you were gonna make a Mount Rushmore of fucking Delta Blues people, Charlie Patton would 100% be up there. So he's like this. He's like, that wasn't no fucking Charlie Patton's. That was our daddy's guitar. And he tells him, you know, more of the story, how the dad was terrible and stuff. And we see that Stack was always that kinder heart, always wanted to give somebody hope, you know, give him that. And he's like, well, whatever. And we see him driving down the road, like clenching this busted ass piece of guitar that he just killed a vampire with as he's driving towards the church. And then the movie takes one more turn towards the action side, which, you know, this reminded me of the end, or not the end, but the Charlie Manson thing in Hollywood with the blowtorch,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
where this is what should have happened. You know,
Right.
what we wish would have happened to some of these people back then. And so he pops to the trunk. He's got guns, grenades. Smoke is waiting because the vampire had told him, like, oh, the clan is still rich and alive. They plan to come back here and kill you tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the first guy that he bit was part of the clan, and that's how he got that knowledge. And he's like, oh, the guy that sold you this shit was the Grand Dragon or whatever, Grand Master. And he's like, okay, gets out a fucking I mean, it looked like a 50 caliber rifle. I don't know what kind of rifles it was, you know, back then at that size in the 30s, but he's waiting for him and they all pull up like, oh, we gonna kill some people today, boys. Yeah, and they're just loading their guns, having a great time. They go up there, oh, the fucking door's locked. Well, fuck, bust it in, kick it in or whatever. And, also, and you just see somebody's neck. Like, oh shit, he's in the bushes just sniping. And then stands up. Michael B. Jordan is huge. Like he looks like a Greek god statue. He
Yeah.
shoulder mounts that motherfucker, and I believed it. I was like, if anybody could take the punch from that in the arm, it would be that man right there. And he's just dotting them, dude. They're running, panicking, throws the big one down, kicks over a hole he had dug on the ground, pulls out a Tommy gun, and just starts spraying fucking clan members with a Tommy gun. We're like, yeah, fucking get them. Um, Even at one point takes a grenade and throws it into this cat's truck, explodes. And the guy in the back though of the back of the truck had shot him in the side, and I love it though. It barely flinches him. He like takes it real quick, and he's like, "Okay, I'm on this mission. I'm on this mission." Kills all of them. But right before this, we saw his flashback, dude. Is he's frantically trying to roll a cigarette because Stack had rolled all of his cigarettes for him, and he couldn't fucking do it. And I was like, like, dude, it was just those little things, those little details are what make it. And he's remembering his child, his wife, you know, his love, his brother, all of these people who died, his friends, his family. And he's trying to roll this thing. We get this badass shootout until it's just him and Boss Hog left. And he's like, you got a fucking cigarette? And he's like, fuck you. And he points a gun at him and he fucking hands him a cigarette. And he sits down in front of him while he's smoking. He's looking at him. And he looks over, and this is so good, dude. He sees this lady breastfeeding their baby, and she's like, put that fucking cigarette out, and you can come over here and hold her. And the dude's trying to say something, and he just and throws the cigarette. Like he's home. This is what he
Yeah.
wanted the whole time. He's finally where he feels he should be, and we get to see him hold his daughter and, you know, kind of go off into this afterlife place in a place of contentment. And then we jump forward another 80 years or something like that, you know, 70 years. We get to see the great Buddy Guy up on stage playing some blues. And he is filling in for the Preacher Boy character. And he plays this awesome set, sits down at the bar, and bartender, there's somebody outside. And he's like, hey, there's a couple people that want to talk to you. You all right with that? Oh, fuck. All right. Send them in. And in walks Stack and Mary in the full Coogee sweater, looking like Biggie. She's got the 80s retro, like all this stuff is on. And they have a conversation, and we get a flashback that Smoke couldn't kill Stack. He couldn't do it. He's like, I just couldn't. He's like, but he made me promise I would never find you and never touch you. And that was part of the thing. And I love that even though Smoke was dead all that time, he held that vow to his brother. Like, I will not
Yeah.
let this happen. So him and Mary have been, side by side, truly in love now, truly in love in the eternally damned, I guess. And they offer it up to him. He even smells him. He's like, don't seem like you got very long left. Like smelling his body actually decomposing. He's like, if I want, I could turn you and you could hang out with us forever, play music for the rest of your life. And he's like, no, I think I'm good. Preacher Boy, though, gives this great moment where he's like, I've thought about it every day or once a week, ever since it happened, that right up until the vampires, that was the best day of my life. And he was like, it really was. Like they had it, they had it was there, the magic was there. And you can't re-grab onto that magic like that. And he's like, it was the best thing that ever happened. And I'm like, oh, dude. And then, they go out, they walk away into the night, and Preacher Boy, we leave him there. You can watch all the way through the credits, which is super cool. You actually get a younger Preacher Boy playing This Little Light of Mine in the church all by himself, which is fucking just this guy's voice is just silly good, man. Silly good. And that is Sinners, Ryan Coogler's Sinners from 2025. So I talked a lot. I want to hear more about what you thought, kind of as a whole, but I do feel like I talked a lot there. But please give us all your thoughts, little Dookie.
Yeah, man. I just thought that this was it was elevated material. I could see from a filmmaker standpoint where they just Kugler's at a point where he can do whatever he wants. The studio just leaves him alone, and that's when you start getting good art because you let the artist tell their story, and it's not a movie made by committee. And you could feel that in this one. There were powerful moments, there were personal moments, and that was the stuff that elevates you past the material of vampires and all that stuff. You
For
know,
sure. And it
um,
didn't feel like pandering. That's what I
no,
like too, is it never
no,
felt like pandering. It felt like this is just a representation of what life was. And where it was almost like a Twilight Zone episode. Like, Rod Serling would always find those ways to mix the sci-fi to tell you a really cool, culturally relevant story about socio-political drama of the time. And I think Ryan Coogler accomplished exactly the same thing. It was like, yo, this is, this, but I'm not gonna fucking shove it down your throat. Like, this is gonna
yeah, I never felt like I was being preached to or taught a lesson. I was like, there was a lot of history in there. There was a lot of culture in there, different cultures in there, which
right.
was super impressive, the mix of it and everything. And you could just tell that, like, there's probably messages in there that I haven't picked up on yet. This
Sure.
is a movie you can watch again and again and again, and you're going to get something different out of it, I think, every time.
Agreed.
Um, and yeah, and the performances are just so fucking good, and it just didn't feel like, oh, this is part of a three movie trilogy and I'm just, part
Right.
of it,
Right.
It just
Right.
felt like it's a one and done and it was perfect. Um, and he was able to take a time period that was so bleak and kind of ugly, I think, and make it beautiful.
Right. To show
Every
the beauty
frame in
that
this
was
movie,
there.
you can feel the wood, you can smell the sweat and the hay and just the booze mixing with the catfish cooking, everything, dude, just felt like
Yeah.
it's
Genuine.
so good. Yeah, it was genuine and it was heartfelt and it was just really, really solid.
All right. So out of how many Delta blues singers do you give Sinners out of 5?
This is my very first time giving a movie a solid 5 on this show. This is the first time I've ever done it. Sinners is as good as Jaws.
I'm with you, man. I thought about it really long and hard, and even with my problems with it, I think it's a solid 5 flick. It
Yeah.
is like there was never a part of me that was like, oh, I want to get away from this. Every time I've gone back to watch it, even though it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm like, oh yeah. I was kind of fucking excited about it again. And
Right.
yeah, so it is one of those things. Like I said at the beginning, for me, I couldn't think of a movie in the last 5 years I've seen that, hit me, maybe even 10 years. I'd have to really think about it and look back at all the bigger releases, but this one just, man, it slapped me in the face in the best way possible. And I just left like I would have sat for another 40 minutes. You could have
Right.
vampires out and just let these cats want, like you said, I want the prequel of them in the war. I want, I just want to hang out with Smoke and Stack. Put
I
those.
bet there's a 3 hour cut of this movie out there, dude, and it would be so awesome if they released a director's cut at some point. Because
Oh,
I would sit for, like you said, I'd sit for 3.5 hours.
right, like the Hateful Eight. You know what I mean? Like I would sit in that cabin with those cats for 4 hours, like I did.
Yeah.
That's also, you get people like Michael B. Jordan or Sam Jackson. Like Sam Jackson's another one for me. If his name is on the bill, I will watch it. I don't care what it is. I just want to watch that man practice his craft. And in The Hateful Eight, I think that's one of his best performances he ever had. He's like, he's freezing out there and he sucked that big black dingus. Fucking Bruce Dern's over there, like, oh, having a heart attack about it. Oh, man. So yeah, Sinners, if you have not seen it, it just hit Max. You can check it out there. You can purchase it anywhere you get your physical or digital media. It is super cool. It's rad. It's fun. It's awesome. It's everything you want in a movie, I feel like. All
I had
right.
the best weekend because it was like, it's been a long time since I've seen anything decent.
Right.
And I saw Mickey 17 the night before this. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't yet, but I've planned on checking it out. I mean, I like
It's a wild ride.
dude. He's another one though. Pattinson is just
Yeah.
and that's who directed that.
Uh,
Parasite, right? Same
Ben Moonson,
part.
Slaughter. Yeah,
Yeah, and I can't remember the name now, but yes, I am very interested in seeing Mickey 17. But it looks fucking crazy. I mean, like,
yeah. I saw that and it was like, whoa, my mind was just blown. And then I saw Sinners the next day and was like, holy shit, cinema has a chance.
all right. It is nice when you see one of those things where you're like, oh, somebody's actually still trying. All right, let's take a moment, like we do at the end of every show, to pause for the living. And this is where we talk about just different ways we can maybe approach life a little differently to try and just put some more good out there, so we don't end up in chaos. Even though I read somewhere somebody quoted, I don't know who, but they said to study history is to study war. And I was thinking about the different generations, especially American history, because that's our history. We're coming up on 250 years next year since the Declaration of Independence. We've never stopped fighting. The
Nope.
world,
Never.
if you study world history, you just study war, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Anyway, all right, so on to today's, and I told you this came from this morning. I don't know what it was. I woke up, and waking up the first thing in the morning is the hardest time for me with this MS shit. It is like I feel like I just want to lay there and never move again for the rest of my life. It's my body is so heavy, everything aches, everything is sore, and every day I just sit with it a little bit, kind of, wait for it, get a little, and then I'll fall out of bed. But this morning it's just like I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it. I found myself just irritated, just walking around kind of fucking irritated. And it was like my wife was doing something that was irritating me. My daughter was doing something that was irritating me. I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I so irritated? And so I have apps on my phone that I'll go to. I have a Bible app. I have a Buddha app. I have an kind of Indian thinking, more that theological set kind of app. And I got a bunch of different ones, and I'll flip through them. I'll just look through things and find something that I can grab onto and sit on for a minute and just be like, okay, I need to take myself out of this situation. I saw it, and that's hard to be able to look at it and be like, I need to take myself out of this. Something's not feeling right. And so the first one I opened was my Bible app. And I grabbed onto the verse that was sitting there in front of me, and I'm going to share it with you. It's from the book of Romans. This is the verse that popped up, and it's like a verse of the day thing. It's just right in your face, and it says, "The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace." I did share a lot of this with my wife because I wrote down a bunch of stuff under this, but I shared a lot with her, and I only bring her up because when we met, she's full blown atheist. You know what I mean? And I wrote above this page, and I think this is so important for so many people around the world, not just in Western theology, but in Eastern theology. But I wrote a note to separate the people who used religious text to hurt or belittle you from the knowledge of the text and learn your traditions. So to separate, too often, I think, somebody used religion, like it was used against me a lot, like, oh, you're bad, you're this, you're that, people use it as a weapon against you. And it's like, well, then fuck that. Like, why do I want anything to do with that? Because you are presenting it to me as a really hurtful thing. So I do encourage people, to, if you're somebody who's so adamant that, oh, I'm just not religious, I'm not religious, there is knowledge in these old texts. Whether you are, Eastern, you come from the Far East, whether you are Western, you come from this way, somewhere in the middle. Take the time to dig into your traditions, whatever and look through it, just, knowledge, like there's actual knowledge here. So I took this and actually broke it down a little bit. So I'll read the verse one more time. And this was Paul. He was writing to the Romans at the time, to the church in Rome. And he was somebody who was drastically, radically changed and all that shit. But either way, okay. So the mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the spirit is life and peace. So the first thing I did is I wrote down the word flesh, and I tried to bring this to modern times. You know what I mean? Like, how is this applicable now? It doesn't matter. Like, I understand ancient Mesopotamian society, but we don't live in ancient Mesopotamian society. Is this still relevant? And as I kept pulling this apart, I'm like, this is like more relevant than anything I've read in a while. So the idea of flesh, and again, these are my ideas. I'm not pulling from something. This is just what came to me as I was trying to work through my own stuff this morning. And the way I see our flesh today, whereas historically, I feel people would use that verse and be like, so the flesh is like drinking, smoking, sex, food, gluttony, those things. We think of, those kind of, an object has an effect on me, and that's giving into the flesh. That's carnal desire, whatever you want to call it. But for me, as I was thinking about it, the flesh today is things like comfort, security, pleasure, egocentricity, perpetual joy and happiness, permanence, and material gain. And those are the things I pulled for the flesh. And then for the spirit, I looked at, what could be kind of modern, seeing the interconnected natural order of things, selfless nature, comfort in change. And that is one of the biggest ones I feel, comfort in change, because change is constant. Humility, gratitude, seeing yourself in others, and knowing that all things are finite. And I put those, actually broke them down. I might type it up, I don't know, into two different categories. So the modern flesh, and I tried to find examples, avoiding discomfort. Avoiding discomfort.
That's a big one right now.
Huge. And I wrote down a note here. I'd actually have to dig at the numbers, but I want to see, the rise in stuff like antidepressants and shit like that. And, or self-help and stuff like that along the way. And anything we can do to avoid discomfort, like I feel a little bit sad, make it go away. I think that is your flesh. That's giving into your flesh. And death in this situation, I think the word death, at least the way I was reading it, I hear suffering. The mind governed by the flesh is suffering. So if your mind is constantly in a place of, I need to be in perpetual joy and happiness, that is impossible. It is never going to happen to you. But if you believe that can happen, you're going to create new mental suffering, which is just like living death. In my mind, it appears living death. The second one, big savings account and retirement plans. I think security is a comfort of the flesh that leads to new mental suffering. Like all of these things, the word death, I'm like, yeah, I guess you could die. It'll eventually lead there. We're all going to die. But it's the suffering that goes with that. It's like, oh, if I don't have this much in my account, I'm so worried about my future. What if we don't have $1 million that's going to get us through 20 years when we retire? And you're suffering, like you're suffering on earth with those things. Anger in the face of change. And I think you mentioned a little bit. That's one of the biggest ones. And that is what I would call the flesh wanting to deny reality. We don't want things to change. We do not like it when things change. That is death. That is suffering, because you're going to suffer so greatly every time something changes. You don't want to change. It's going to hurt. It's going to weigh you down. It's going to feel awful. Whereas I feel On the flip side of that, and we'll get to that in just a second, when you know, kind of, I guess, more the spirit side, when you're living on that side, it's just living with the understanding that that is the true nature of reality is change. And change is going to happen every day, and death is going to happen every day. And so it's being in line with the natural order instead of fighting against it, because to fight against it is to say, I want my flesh to be something that's not reality. And when I say flesh, it's mind, it's flesh, you know, it's all of that encompassing. And then the last thing is identity as an independent existence. I think that is a big part of the mind. Where if that is the flesh screaming, that is your ego screaming, I am a lone thing. I am me. I did not exist before this. I will not exist after this. No part of me was here before me. I am completely original, unique, and I exist in the world, not of the world. You know, I'm independent of it. Like if I went away, I would be away from the world, when really we know we are all water, fire, earth, space, and air. You know, the elements are all the same in all of us. But that viewpoint, I think, leads to so much suffering, so much suffering. And now we'll get to the flip side of that, which I think addresses a couple of those things. So the first thing I wrote, and this is something that hit me a while ago, but if you can look at a tree and see the sum of all existence, that's a good way to see things. That's a hard way to see things. It takes a little while to get there, but kind of we were just talking about, if you realize that everything is the same: earth, fire, water, air, and space. Everything. I was talking to my daughter about it. We were eating grapes and cherries, you know, and most people would say those are two different things. You could classify them both as fruit, but at the end of the day, they're the same exact pieces, just put together in a different formation to make a different picture. But the pieces are exactly the same. You had two piles of the same pieces. You just used one less piece of this thing, one more piece of that thing. And we have cherry, we have grape, but both are fruit, both are sun, water, air, but you know, all of those things. Existence based on a self. I think that that's not a good thing. We just, you know, the idea of the self, and to know impermanence, to realize that we are gonna die, dude. We are all gonna die as far as this manifestation goes. I'm not here to argue what happens after the fact, because that's still, you know, people have been debating it for thousands of years. But the reality is going to happen. It is going to happen to you and to everybody you know, everybody you are close to you. We run away from that. We don't like that idea of change, and we run from the idea of death. When I think when you embrace it and you live it, it gives you the ability to see everything so much more profoundly, because you know it's limited. You know time is limited. And when you know it's limited, you can stop and appreciate, maybe this is the last time I'll ever do this. Let's fucking enjoy it. You know, or this is the only time I'll ever do this. And, you know, we could get into some of that too. But finding gratitude in the trivial is a big piece. It's turning on your bathroom faucet or your sink or something and saying, damn, that's pretty dope that water comes out. You know, there's so many things to be grateful for. Understands the full emotional spectrum. It's understanding that we are going to suffer. We are all going to suffer. We are all going to know joy. We are all going to know pain. We can't run away from those things. It's about being okay and understanding that that's a part of the full emotional piece. That's the other side of the coin: happy, sad, cold, hot. Like everything has those two sides. So knowing if I give my love to someone, I'm going to suffer great grief later. I can't be pissed when the grief comes. It's just understanding that flow, and that one, it comes with the other. They are inseparable. And then the last thing, knows now as the only real moment. Too often we fight to live in our past, you know, or in the future. We think once we get there, everything will be better. Or we blame, because this happened, I am the way I am right now. When in reality, all of us are living the lives we are willing to tolerate. Every single one of us. And so, yeah, little biblical knowledge hit me this morning. But I will tell you, after sitting, if I probably spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes writing the whole thing out, I felt incredibly better. And just identifying and saying, man, my shit's fucked up right now. Like I can just tell my balance is off, and taking the time to fix those things when they happen. Because if we don't, I could probably still be angry, still be carrying it. Like, oh man, you remember this morning? And yeah, who wants that?
Yeah.
So what do you got to add, little Dookie?
I had a pretty crazy interaction this weekend. It was the 4th of July, and we were invited to our neighbor's little lake house. He had a little spot right there on the lake, nothing fancy, but he had his own dock and his own little spot on the lake. And he's like, "Come out, watch fireworks with us." And I was like, "Cool." And I got to meet like his whole extended family and all of this stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm chatting with these two people, and it's that like getting to know you stuff, just everyday stuff. And the mom and her daughter was like 16 or 17. She said, "I'm just glad to be here. Last year we both died on July 4th." And I was like, "What?" She said, "Me, her dad, and her daughter tubing along in the river, and they come to a place where a tree had fallen, and they're kind of jokingly like, 'Oh shoot, we got to paddle around it.' The daughter couldn't get around this tree and got sucked under in a spot where the water was like going under the tree root. And
Yeah.
her hair, got pulled in and her hair got stuck in the tree branches and was holding her underwater. Her mom goes in, is trying to get her out, and she gets sucked under into this same like sinkhole thing. And they were underwater till they died. The fucking paramedics came, pulled their dead bodies out of the water. The mom was in a helicopter being airlifted, and they were able to bring her back. And they did mouth to mouth resuscitation on the daughter, and they brought her back. And the dad is just like he's crippled. He only has one leg. He got like sepsis in his leg and lost his leg, so he's crippled. He couldn't do shit except watch his daughters die, and they barely got him saved and out of the water as well. And I said, wow, what a story. But I said, what did it feel like to
Yeah.
die? And she said that her experience was that she was under the water and she could see she was only about 5 or 6 inches away from life breathing air and she
Yeah.
couldn't get to it. And she said, you'd think that you'd be really scared. But she said the most peaceful she's ever felt came over her. And she was just like, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
And she said she just accepted everything. And then she said she doesn't remember anything after that. She says she doesn't remember ever sucking in water because that's what would have scared her the worst.
Right.
Her daughter said that she remembers taking a breath and it being all liquid
Oh,
and knowing that she was going to die.
yeah.
And her thought was, man, that sucks. My friends are going to be sad.
Yeah.
Not like a single thought about like my life's over. Did I make the right decisions? None of that. She thought about the
Her
people
people.
that were going to be upset by her being
Yeah.
gone.
Like
And
Keanu
they both came back
Reeves.
to life.
Keanu
Yeah,
Reeves,
man.
the same thing. He's when they asked him, like, what do you think happens when you die? He's like, I don't know, but I know the people you leave behind are really gonna miss you.
Yeah.
But that's just a testament to how you never know, man. You never fucking know when your day is gonna be. And we like to think that we're gonna live a long, good one, but even our long good ones are only, 100 years.
Yeah.
Not a
I was
long
I was
time.
talking to the father, and the father said what I took away from the whole thing is how things can go from being fun to absolutely tragic, just like that.
Yeah.
And so don't waste your moments. Don't ever waste a moment because that moment could be your last.
And don't waste them being angry,
Don't be angry at people because you never know if you're going to see them again.
Right. That's crazy though, man.
It was crazy. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a wild story. But
yeah.
I've heard that people say that it's like peaceful. You hear those stories about super near death experiences and stuff like that. But it's death is kind of like birth. It's probably scary, traumatic, and you got to do that shit alone. Like nobody else is gonna do it with you. But we don't know, what's on the other side. Like I'm sure when we were in the womb, we were like, "Oh, this is it. This is everything, right? Where I fucking exist. Like food's just pumped directly into my belly button, and this is amazing." And then you come out screaming. All right. What do we got next week?
Oh shit, I haven't looked yet.
Oh no.
I
Let me see
know
if
I'm
I
so
can. I
wrong.
know it was one from the vault, a little bit on the older side, I think.
The Thing.
Da. Again, you're gonna hear me talk about another five movie. I'm just gonna tell you right now. The thing is it hit me in all the right perfect ways. If you've never seen it, go back and check it out. I encourage you to check out the original one from the 50s. then watched the Kurt Russell, John Carpenter thing. And actually the second one, the prequel movie, I didn't really dislike, just a lot of CGI. I think that's where it suffered when the OG is 100% just visceral fucking effects dripping all over you. So until next week, do a random act of kindness to somebody out there. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I've been Pops Ghostly.
I'm a little Duke Spooky.
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 No! No! No!
Extravaganza.